Hey guys, happy Saturday to everybody. I wanted to pop in and say hello, see how everybody's doing. I've got Monroe here. I actually have her in her Jacquardie pretty pink little romper. And I actually saw on their website where they paired it with a long sleeve Jacquardie onesie. And they had it on a real baby. It was somebody's photo that they had sent in and they post it like under each outfit if you scroll down to the bottom. So it gives me good outfit ideas because this way I can get more use out of this than just in the summertime because it's freaking cold here. Rainy and cold, 40 degrees, disgusting, gross weather outside. So I love this, and I just hated the thought of not being able to allow her to wear it, you know, during the winter, because it's such a pretty little outfit. And I'm sorry if the coloring goes in and out. It's just very odd. My phone stinks. It gets yellowy weird, and it's cloudy and gross outside, and just, it's miserable out. So the coloring is going to possibly do that. So I try to get it at an angle that it hopefully doesn't do that. And even when I don't move, it changes its shading. But anyways, she is wearing this sweet little romper with a little white Jacquardie onesie underneath, and she's got her little pretty original knee-high socks on with it, and then her little pink Jacquardie crib shoes that match. That actually is part of the set that went with this romper. So it's really super sweet, really pretty on her. This is one of my favorite rompers on her during the summertime. I just love it, and it fits her like a glove, which is wonderful. So we're just hanging out on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. I've actually been busy in the morning and now just having some time in the nursery with her. God, I hate that the coloring does that. It's so weird. It literally has to do with the overhead lighting, I think. It's just awful. Drives me crazy to watch my own videos back. Before I upload them, I always watch my videos, make sure I haven't screwed something up and it's all there. And I hate when it goes in and out like this. It literally drives me wonky. Okay, so topic I just wanted to chat with you about. I'm going to see if I change the angle. Maybe it'll... I was watching Lynn from Littlefoot Nursery's video this morning, or this afternoon. It feels like morning still, I don't know why. But she was chatting about being afraid to handle your expensive babies. Do you have, you know, do you handle them last? Do you worry? I mean, how do you deal with it? All of that. So I thought I would just answer that in a video because I have kind of a slightly longer answer. It's not cut and dry for me. I've had a lot of really expensive dolls in and out of my nursery over the years, and people used to ask me this all the time, like, how do you enjoy it knowing you have so much money in it, and what if something happens to it, and, you know, all this laundry list of things you can worry about. And I will say that over the years, my feelings and thoughts on this subject has changed and varied at times. And I will tell you, from the first time I had gotten a Romy striatum silicone, which was, oh gosh, it's been years ago. I think I got my first one in 2011, and it was a partial. And, you know, that baby was a very nice baby. It was harder silicone, so I think it was more like dragon skin or, you know, just an Eco 50. So very firm, but she was beautiful. She was gorgeous. She was really expensive, and at the time I paid a lot of money, even though she was from the secondary market. And I had no problems handling her. I mean, I don't think I was ever scared to handle her. I think, you know, the harder silicone, the more firm silicone is a little less delicate feeling, I think, overall, when you compare like doll to doll, like sturdiness of them. So that never made me think twice about handling the doll. But I also at that time wasn't a super big, I hold and love and cuddle my dolls very much. It was more like I dressed them real pretty. I put them in the nursery. I think I had a nursery at that time. Yeah, I think I did. It's a ways back, guys. Hard to remember. Different house. I wasn't in this house. It was actually a couple houses ago, I believe. But anyways, ultimately, I really just wasn't a big type. I wasn't the collector that really held my dolls a whole lot. I would just change them, pose them, and make them look pretty, and then leave them until I changed them again. And then, since then, I've had multiples. I've had several Romy striatum silicones come in and out of my nursery. Those are the most expensive dolls I've ever had in my nursery at each time. And even in comparison to Claire Taylor silicones, Romy striatum's silicone dolls are way by far the most expensive that I've ever owned. And I've had more firm silicone all the way up to not the newest silicone, but newer newer silicone, so it was soft. And when I got my, is it Kaylin Rose? My sleeper. She was the first doll that I'd gotten that was like brand new. And she was of the softest silicone. She wasn't as soft as what Romy makes today, but close. She wasn't that far off. She was still, you know, pretty soft in comparison to, you know, a lot of the majority of dolls out there at the time. And that doll was the first time, because I had spent the very most of any doll to get her home. Like, that was the most expensive doll I've ever owned in my collection. And she made me second guess how often I wanted to handle her. And I, at that time, also still wasn't the type of collector. I didn't cuddle and hold her a lot. And she was a very heavy doll anyway. She was like 12 pounds. And I found her very difficult to handle without the silicone kind of flexing oddly, or I worried about behind her legs, because she had like bent knees. So she had like a froggy leg position. And that also worried me, like the strain when I would pick her up, like her legs would move around a lot. And I started to really, you know, wonder if I could truly enjoy having her without worrying I was gonna, you know, worrying constantly something was gonna happen to her, just because of the sheer weight of the silicone. And so I found myself at that time not enjoying her as much, not handling her as much. And I did have reborns in my collection at that time. And if you go back far enough in my videos, you will see videos of her. So yeah, I think that's the point in time in my collecting years that I started to really go, maybe I shouldn't be handling this doll very much, and maybe I should be really super careful, even more careful than I was, because I'm careful when I handle my dolls and hold them and pick them up and change them. I'm always very cautious like that. Always have been, probably always will be, just because even, you know, a couple $100 is a lot to lose in a doll, you know, so thousands is even worse. So I think from that point on, I think my perspective of things changed, because I continued to collect other high-end dolls along, you know, even after she had left my nursery, I had, you know, other dolls coming in, and I currently have what I feel is a high-end silicone doll. So it's a lot of money that I've invested in these dolls. And I do worry at times, like, you know, when I got Monroe home, she's a very sturdy baby. She's made really well. Clear silicone to me feels very durable. But in the back of my mind, I'm, you know, always thinking, gosh, I adore this baby so much. I don't want anything to happen to her. So I always am extra cautious when I handle her. And I do hold her a lot, but I'm always holding her in a blanket. I mean, there's precautionary things that I'm doing. Lynn mentioned, like, she washes her hands before she handles her dolls, and I do the same thing. If I'm sick, I don't go near my dolls because I don't want the germs on them. I'm really, really weird about it. Just doing things that I know will protect the baby when I'm handling the baby, because I would be devastated if something ever happened to her, because I have such a huge bond and connection to her. I really think that I feel the strongest about this doll compared to any other doll I've ever had in my collection. Even when I had Lucy in my collection, it's close, but this baby still takes the cake somehow, way, shape, or form. I don't know how it's possible, but she has. And so, you know, I always take precaution when I'm changing her. That's why I use the hand mitts. I know some people don't like using hand mitts, so they'll use other things, or some people don't like to use them at all, which is completely your own, you know, your own thoughts. I find it easier to clothe them and not catch fingers, especially with this baby. She has 2 or 3 fingers out on each hand, and they're easily caught and will bend backwards or pull, and I just don't want that to happen. So I like to have something over their hands. Like, you can use hand mitts, some people use socks. Some people will use like a plastic bag. I know Diana Reed will use like a little plastic bag, and then some people use saran wrap. I've heard different varying things that artists will offer up that they do when they're, you know, slipping arms and limbs and things in clothing, so it's less friction on the silicone and paint and the matting and all of that. But I mean, there are so many different ways. You know, bathing, that's one of the reasons why I will never bathe one of my dolls, not one single time, not ever, because I just fear that something will react or take some of the matting or take some of the paint. You just never know. And so I don't want to take the risk. And so to me, it's just not worth it to just, you know, because I'm not one that does the interactive videos like that anyway, so it wouldn't make any sense for me to do it. And the doll's clean, you know, the doll, you know, they're a doll. They don't, I don't know. I guess I'm not that OCD where I feel like I need to bathe the doll. I don't know. Just my thoughts on it. I just don't think it's a good idea. So that's kind of why my thought process is on, you know, when I share like how to care for these dolls or how to keep them in really good condition. Like that's why I have, you know, very strong opinions about it, because I just always want to keep the doll in the best condition possible. And it's not because I'm thinking of selling the doll, even though that's a factor. It's not the reason behind it. The reason behind it is because I don't want the doll to have any damage done to it, because I just feel so strongly about keeping the doll in really good condition. And that's the type of collector that I am. So that's my way of dealing with it. Not every collector is like that. Some collectors are like, I paid this much for the doll, I'm going to love and enjoy the doll to the fullest extent. And that is absolutely fine. It's just not how I choose to collect. But everybody's different, which is why when you're, you know, buying on the secondary market, you need to know the history of the doll, because we don't all collect the same way. We don't know how people handle their dolls. So yeah, I mean, I think that with this baby, even though I have a lot of money invested in her, she's not the most expensive doll in my nursery that I've ever had, which is fine, but she is very expensive. So I have no problem handling her. I feel confident when I handle her. I think I feel the most confident handling Claire Taylor silicone in comparison to other silicones, because I know that they're more durable. Even with Romy Stridham silicone, like dressing them, like they just were a different feel and they felt more delicate to me. I don't know why. I can't really explain it. They were a little bit less smooth to get clothes on. And I know depending on the type of silicone and how they're matted and finished and all of that, tends to feel whether they're tacky or not when you're clothing them. And I think that when you have tacky type of silicone and it's not very smooth, it's harder. It's more of a struggle to get those clothes on them, especially like getting their arms through the holes. You know, I did have that problem with my Romy Stridham silicone unless I powdered them. I would powder them and then I could put clothes on them very easily. Luckily with Claire's babies, I've noticed that the skin is even, I've never had to powder her. I don't generally powder Claire Taylor silicones because you don't need to. And they're smooth, they're soft and smooth, and it's hard to explain, but clothes come on and off of them very easily. So even with tighter fitting, you know, fitted sleeves, I can still slip the arms in without struggling to get them up over like the elbow and onto their shoulder. And I know that wasn't always the case with every silicone I've had. It really just depends on the silicone, honestly. And you know, I think that plays a lot into the confidence level of how much you feel like you should be handling them and enjoying them, knowing how expensive they are. So those are kind of all of the factors, I think, that weigh into, you know, how do you really enjoy a very expensive doll? Well, I can tell you that I thoroughly enjoy this baby. I just get a lot of joy from holding her, rocking her, but I am very careful with her. But I want to make sure that I, you know, enjoy having her, and that's the type of collector I've learned that I have become over the years. I want to interact with her a little bit more than I normally would. I want to pick her up and hold her. Like, I don't think a day goes by where I don't pick her up and hold her. It's just like I crave holding the silicone in my arms, and I like to rock her in my rocking chair. It's just what makes me really, really happy. And that's how I know I'm getting lots of enjoyment out of the money that I spent on her. And still very cautious and careful with her, of course, but definitely want to make sure that I can enjoy her to the fullest. And, you know, not every collector can do that. It really just depends on you as a collector and what type of collector you are. And it'll be interesting if anybody else makes a video about this. I would love to hear other people's thoughts on it. I think it's interesting to see what different collectors do. But anyways, guys, that's the discussion. And it was Lynn from Littlefoot Nursery. So if you haven't seen this video of hers, go pop over and see hers. She's got a great channel. If you have not subbed to her, you should totally do that. I love her channel. She chats a lot about really cool stuff, and she's got an amazing collection. So anyways, guys, I hope you're all having a great Saturday afternoon. And Monroe and I will see you all soon, guys. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.